Change is a part of life, but until very recently not a part of Pokémon versions. But that was until Scarlet and Violet attacked. So hey, I'm Not So Ace Trainer, welcome back to the channel, and how will it be in Gen 10? Let's get into it. For the longest time, the decision of buying either version, A or B, of a Pokemon game was mostly due to one thing: the Pokemon on the cover. Are you more of a Charizard person or a Blastoise person? Dialga or Palkia, Yveltal or Xerneas? Most people didn't know what Pokemon were exclusive to each version, and besides that and the legendary on the cover, nothing else would change. The story was the same, the rivals were the same, the professor, the towns and the villains. But Scarlet and Violet changed everything by having actual differences in the story of the game and how it was presented to you. Sure, the legendaries were different, one had Koraidon and the other Miraidon, as usual, but then Scarlet had the Naranja Academy and Violet had the Uva Academy. Oranges and Orange versus Grapes and Violet. Not only that, Scarlet had Professor Sada and Violet had Professor Turo. The first loved the ancient past and the latter the distant future. This created 11 new exclusive Pokemon, with the Paradox Pokemon being either prehistoric looking or very futuristic, and had people rushing to trades online in order to complete their Pokédexes. I thought these two very different versions would be a one-off, but Winds and Waves also has the same thing going on, and I'm not sure I like it. We already saw Mr. Windichu and Mrs. Wavichu. While they haven't stated that they're exclusive, their names and appearance very much make us wonder if they're not. If they are the legendaries in disguise, it would just add more fuel to the fire. And just like in Scarlet and Violet, our protagonists will be wearing different clothing depending on what version you buy. This makes me fear that once again there will be a whole bunch of new Pokemon tied to Winds and others to Waves that will be locked to one version without any explanation as to why. Not that they need to explain it, as every game is a different timeline and all that, but it just feels like an unnecessary reaction to the people that say that two versions is very greedy, because it still is, we're just kinda used to it. I'm a bit more hopeful for this one because there are a few things that make me think that this is more of a cosmetic and legendary thing and nothing else. The future and past as places were not present in Scarlet and Violet, just mentioned and showed to us through Pokemon. We didn't go there, we simply listened to the professor and read about stuff related to it in the academy. That and the game was about timelines, so they could kinda try to get away with doing some weird thing like that. Winds and Waves is a different thing. Clearly one game is focusing on one and the other on the other, but you can have a game with just Winds and another with just Waves. Those two elements will be present in both games. Sure, one story will lead more in one direction and the other on the other, but I feel like the harmony between both is the key aspect. For example, showing us this part of the trailer with the Waves protagonist and the winds blowing feels almost like done on purpose to show us that the concept they represent will be present. Just like the hotel having both Winds and Waves symbols. Winds protagonist, Waves symbols. Our path will certainly be different, one will lead us to the sky and the other to the ocean floor, but not really lock us out of the other one. The main game will simply have an encounter with the legendary in the place that fits its characteristics. So we'll still be able to dive in Winds and fly in Waves, you'll just be dressed differently for the occasion. And honestly, that is the way it should be. Two versions will always exist. There's no point in pretending that the differences matter now, but they didn't matter back in the day. They always mattered, they didn't do it, it's better this way. Especially since now, if they end up doing the same thing they did in Scarlet and Violet with so many new Pokemon that you cannot have access to unless you can trade, people that don't have online will not be able to complete their games. And that is a diss on exclusive Pokemon as well. There should not be version exclusive Pokemon, you should always be able to get every single one of them. That part is a little bit greedy. Especially since the story in the DLC rarely cared about the differences in the main game. But what about you? Do you believe we'll have a whole bunch of new Pokemon for Winds and for Waves, and do you like that? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, thank you so much for watching, that is all I have for you today, and I'll see you all on the next one. But before I go, I want to thank my YouTube members Dash Plays and Good Old Deo, as well as my Twitch subscribers Anubis Here, the Dr. Joe and Teixeira23 for going that extra mile. Thank you so much for all of your support.